Hello.
There you are.
Hi.
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 Sometimes when I call my kid, I'll just sit here and act like I'm froze. Right? And it'll be like, Dad? I'm like, my bad. I distorted into the hereafter in the nevermore in an ultimate dimensional plane of existence. And he'd be like, look, for real, you need to quit with the Star Trek and all the... You're freaking me out, man. And I'm like, it's all good because it's all love.
Oh, man. Do a lot of people down there in West Virginia, like, get you? Are there other people like you down there? Because I think
Bro,
that...
I don't talk to people here in West Virginia.
No?
No, not really. I'm not really the let's go to the pub and see if we can whatever. It freaks me out because I see people covered in like implants and weirdness. And I usually, like, most times I stay out of bars because of the alcohol thing.
Yeah.
So I don't really know. One time I went to this vegan potluck and even that was strange, man. You know? So I don't so much get out as much as I probably should. So
What about alcohol, man?
I'm coming from a very Irish bloodline, and I can drink anyone right under the table, and I don't know how to just, let's have 3 drinks, and then, oh, it'll be great, and I'll have a buzz. No, it's, let's drink everything and see what happens, right? And then I'll come to, and then there'll be a bottle of Jameson, and then I'll have another kid, and I will have gotten into a brawl and shit. And when I have a Polish friend of mine, and she's very Aries, and when I get together with that one, it's not safe for the world in its entirety, you know, so... Those are old addiction patterns that I've worked through a really long time ago, and I can now go into a bar and smell the alcohol, but I'll have a full-blown conversation with a Polish bottle of Belvedere vodka, and I'll be like, it's so intense for me, I'll be like, you're so beautiful, girl, and it'll be like, I love you, just drink me, and I'll be like, I want to, I really do, you know how much I love you, just let me inside of you, and I'll feel, no shit, I'll see the top of the bottle start to come off and be like, don't do it, That's what I mean by I'm having a conversation with an inanimate object, and if you try to tell someone who has never dealt with alcoholism, I go to an AA meeting, right, and dudes would be like, I get it, man. Milwaukee's Best talks to me like that, too. And I'm like, Milwaukee's Best? You drink that shit? What the fuck is wrong with you, man? But I'm very open about what I've been through to get here and, you know, I've tried everything to turn off the ambient stuff that I was hearing that makes me a special person, Cass.
You
Remember?
are a special person.
We talked about it.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to help Cass embrace her specialness.
We had a very powerful, we were like, let's just catch up and make sure we can check these audio settings, and then we ended up diving into it for like over an hour.
Yeah, that shit got real. I've been watching you process a bunch of stuff right here around your heart these past 2 days. You've been like slowly getting calibrated to something, so I mean, I don't know if it's the time to ask you about it, but I'm just wondering if it's noticeable for you, because it is for us. We're just sitting there watching it happen.
No, I definitely felt a lightening of a serious load, and it's I really appreciate it. I wasn't expecting it, and I didn't realize how much I needed it, but I'm grateful for it.
I get that every now and then. I'll be like, do you feel lighter? It used to get to the point where I'd be like, are you like done with your suffering and your shit? Like, I'll just cut right through the nitty gritty, you know? But you're talking to a guy that's like, I find you to be hormonally complete. Are you available to mate right now, right? Like, who says that? Nobody says
line,
that.
man.
Yeah, I like that.
Isn't it, though? Doesn't it cut through the crap? And I'm like, yeah, I'm good, you know? You can usually... So I try to cut right through the crap. But, yeah, people are bogged down in those dimensional densities because they don't realize that they're splintered out into other realms, and the parts of them that got hurt bleed out, and then they'll have these other timelines up and running. So there'll be this amalgam of trauma drama, and then you can have stuff happening from other lifetimes, too, that can be run in like a parallel, and there'll be this action happening, right? So if you can see the way energy is moving around and the way consciousness has been splintered out, and then the way these things, and I can use that word open-endedly because there are things and stuff that bleed through, whatever you believe in. Archons, demons, creepers, boogeyman, ex-girlfriends that just won't go away. Whatever you want to call it, man. I've experienced all of it. So
Gabriel,
I tried to be bubbly about it.
Yeah, no, you had this bubbly, I don't know if you remember it, but do you have like a prayer thing that you say to like make sure you're safe in an environment I remember you saying something.
Yo, trying to get Gabriel to do anything he's previously done again is so funny.
I know.
I know. You know why that's complicated? Because when you do real magic, it's like a once in a. Yeah. It's not repeatable. It's like, say a word that's never been said before. Say a series of articulations, gesticulations, or motions, or embellishments in a way where it can clear through that ethereal boundary and hit the astral. Get away from all the weird shit that lives in the astral, all the new age astral bliss mofos, the organized religion, the Jehovian, and all that. And then you reach up into those higher octave spheres where you can interact more with true spirit. Mm-hmm. You know how, like, you'll see the Cherokee, it'll be like that, and the heart will be open, and then the centers will be open, and then, like, you'll feel all that magic will be coming through, like the way that, if you like on a peyote thing, where it's nothing but heart and you and spirit, you know? And so we actually had to do something with the slaughtering of animals, and we had to do a bunch of stuff to mess that up. But in terms of like a prayer, I ground into what I know as safe territory, which is in octaves of 6 and 12. So I go, like, I'll access more of like where we're supposed to have a 24 strand DNA instead of 23. I'll just look for, well, those 12 strands will come through, and then I'll ask to clear any light fibers that aren't supposed to be in the space. And then from there, I'll draw down. And then I'll ask for my assistance and help to come through and to clear and settle in the space. Most people have never really experienced what I would call like a clear conscious space. So it's not so much that I do a prayer as much as like I am the prayer.
Right, yeah.
And you know why I think that's profound? Is because I'm so tired of feeling like I have to defend myself or explain myself or say something to feel safe or have to always have this boundary put up between me and another person because, ooh, we've got cordage or you have foul intentions for me, right? Like everywhere in the spiritual community and in New Age stuff, there's always this... you're not safe, and we need to go like light and love, and it's all namaste. And then I'll be like, well, I need to nama go because this feels like bullshit to me. Is that crafty? That's like my thing these days.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I mean, we did a pretty intense trip on Sunday, bicycle day. Yeah, that was wild, but it was one of those things where I'm like, wow, I'm finally at that place where I can enter these realms, and I'm not like looking for evidence of the devil. You know what I mean? You know, I think that this happens where you can kind of be in an environment and be like, oh, what's out to get me? And I'm not as threatened anymore by that force because it is me. You know what I mean?
The self-seriousness of it all, like, is such a it's just not fun. Like, that's to me what it is. It's just, it's not fun when it's just like, oh, God, there's all these fears and there's all these things and everything's against us and, oh, God, we just have to transcend and it's just like, fucking shut the fuck up and ride the wave.
I like taking those folks and dipping them in deeper waves and showing them what's really real and what's not, and be like, and they'll stick their head out of the inversions and be like, oh fuck, I've been upside this whole time. I don't like I've been known to do that, but it's getting easier for me. But you're right, like being fluid in fluidity, because it all is all waveforms, and now there's this whole higher aperture of octaves of different waveforms, kind of like rolling through and settling down. And now we have the choice of free will to let those settle down and come through us. And so, that's good. But we talked about this, Cass, wherein if you focus on the fear and you focus on the bad, where you're the one creating time, where your observation is materializing consciously and you're creating that energy, then if there's a morphic quantum field of resonance and everyone's in this fear forms or this consumption form, then what are you going to be manifesting? You're a little beautiful manifestation creation computer. Did you know that? That's what you are. You're a vessel for spirit, for manifestation. You're just this pure thing of magic, every bit of you, every hair, every cell, every strand. And then whenever I figure out the other parts of women that are just pure magic that I don't fully get yet, but you'll stare into those parts and be like, that's the forevermore right there. And I'm not quite sure what kind of magic that is, but I better take care of it. That's my current understanding of it at this point. You know what I mean? So it's all love.
It's all love. You
haven't
met our friend Carrie, a girl Carrie.
Hi, I was wondering.
Hi.
Carrie, hello.
I'm Carrie.
We're making an official introduction.
I've seen most glorious pictures of you on I believe they call it the Instagram.
Oh yeah, I bet you guys. I bet a lot of your listeners have seen photos.
Who is that? I was like, she is deep and intense. I was like, what's up with that? I was like, and why are they posting pictures of her? I thought in my world, I was like, well, they're doing some cool New York like half naked art thing. And
Post. What can you say? It's not really my style, but I can't help myself anymore.
Yeah,
fair enough.
We have a whole archive at this point.
Oh my
of
God.
Photos.
Yeah, for real. Carrie's been a huge muse in our life during this quarantine for sure, and we'll see. We'll see what happens when it lifts. But
I'm out of here as soon as this is over. I'm bouncing. I'm packing my shit. You'll never hear from me again.
Oh God.
Someone help me. Anyone listening? I'm stuck.
It's a cult.
Are you stuck?
Yeah, this is a cult.
Well, what kind of Kool-Aid did they hand out? Was that shit dope? It feels like you kind of already took it. You gotta be careful.
She made
with
it.
Sean, because he'll slip you the fucking Kool-Aid real quick, and you won't even know you had it, man. That's what I love about that dude.
Oh yeah, you know about it. So,
but I love that that's how we are in the world when someone experiences something outside of the rigidity of the four pillars in society that people call importance or they gravitate towards, you know? And we've came up with all these nomenclatures and words to describe things that aren't like quote unquote like normal. And most times to have a conversation about spirit and and consciousness. And if you want to talk about interdimensional beings, or you want to talk about other dimensions, or you want to talk about parallel timelines, most people are like, okay, well, that's an episode of Star Trek that I saw, and I don't know that. But where I've been in practice for a while now, and then after we did this, I had 3 or 4 people reach out that needed to reach out in that moment, that were like legit all the way in the bottom of the shit, and we're holding an anchor in such an intense place. And I was so honored and stoked that they reached out to me. You know what I mean? And they were like, well, I don't, and it was a good lesson for me, because they're like, well, I don't want to burden you with all of my shit. And I'm like, I want to hear what's going on with you, man. Like, the ones that are like really going through it, like, those are the ones that need to be talking about it. A lot of people never have those experiences, traumatic family loss, near-death experiences. I got sucked into this Alice in the Wonderhold program, and I'm hearing these tin noises, and I'm seeing these dudes staring at me, and there's this cat that's all, like, you wouldn't believe some of the stuff that I have heard, right? You know? So, all in all, though, that's, for what it's worth, it kind of went on a rant. But anyway, yeah.
What do you, like, the funny thing is with this, like, this thing we're doing, this little throuple here, it feels...
Yeah, how does that work, man? I'm like, you're like the luckiest guy ever.
I'm the luckiest girl ever.
Yeah.
Do you know what? What was it like when I first did that with the throuple thing? I had 2 girls that I knew, and we all loved each other dearly. And we drank a few pitchers of Alabama Slammer, and I went back to the dorms with them. And they just sat and necked and played with one another's this part. Just did that for like an hour and a half. And I was so good to go from that. They're like, yeah, jump on in there. And it was over for me in like 5 minutes, right?
Yeah.
Like, it was it. And I just laughed. And I was like, well, I was like throwing a toothpick into the fucking fire. That's it. What do I do now? They hadn't even got it started, but it was a good lesson.
Yeah. Our first time all hooking up was kind of like that. As it was starting to go down, I was like, I can't believe this. This is, it didn't seem real. It still kind of does.
I like toothpick in the fire. That's cool.
Yeah, it was definitely a toothpick in the fire type of situation. But yeah, it's the funny thing about it is like, you know, we can feel certain people's like, whoa, even people's like gossipy interest in us. But like from our perspective, like I've never felt so normal in my life. You know what I mean? Like it was like like everything kind of clicked into place, and it's like, I don't know, our days are just like really good, and like it really feels like we're in a flow that fucking is really rare. At least in my life, I haven't touched this kind of flow in a while.
Yeah, I mean, I think we work really well together. I think fate, we kind of met on like very odd circumstances, like very small world scenarios, and I feel like it was just meant to be.
Yeah.
Like it was just too much of a coincidence for us not to meet when we did.
What's your read on it, man?
And yet here you are in your vulnerability, threatening to pack up and leave after.
No, I would never. Oh, sorry. I would never.
It's a good indicator of an incredibly vulnerable person with a real having to protect that big heart she has, which you have a huge big heart.
Yo, Carrie, you nailed it.
No, I can tell.
Nailed it. Yeah.
Yeah, that girl would full on dump everything in the world if she could, you know? Like, have love, blah, 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 $5 billion. Good souls, givers.
Yeah.
Not surprised, man. That's cool.
Yeah.
I really love your long hair. I got a thing for long hair, admittedly so. I don't know what it is.
Wait, let me pull it all to the...
Yeah.
It comes like all the way down here to my waist.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. It's cool.
Thank you.
I met a guy, and he was walking his Rottweiler, and I went to talk to him, and he looked right at me, and this guy was like the rare combination of like genius, crazy, and gnarly, right? And I went right up to him and was talking to him about his dog because I was looking for advice on Rotties because they're a rare ass dog to deal with. He looked right at me. He was like, all the aura and who you are is in your hair, man. And he took one look at me and my beard, and he was like, you're good people, let's talk. Wow. It's like he scanned, like just looking at my hair, he could scan what was up with me, man. You know, like you store so much in your hair, and we're so conditioned to cut all of it off, aren't we?
Yeah. Yeah, we are.
And I was working through a really big shame pattern with someone that I really love. You know how you have some friends you can talk about anything?
Mm-hmm.
Like you literally talk about anything? Mm-hmm. Well, this guy in particular was one of 4 altar boys at a church, and the priest fancied only 2 of them and not him, right? And he has always been gay. And he was saying to me, and this is the polar opposite of how most people feel about this, right? And he was saying, well, I was very hurt, and I didn't feel pretty that Father Flanagan never chose me to take me in the back to have his little hot and dirty way with me. And I'm sitting there thinking, okay, you talk to anybody about this, and most people are going to feel, yeah, you see what she just did, like, oh my God. Right?
Well, yeah, I went to Catholic school for so long, so like,
there you go.
The idea of that is... Wow.
So what happens is, the reason why I bring that up, if someone doesn't talk about this stuff and take the charge off of it, if you can feel I'm real neutral about it, because I've had the rare opportunity to have friends that can talk about that from that perspective, and they've always, that's what they've been attracted to. But at the end, he was like, well, I just didn't feel pretty. I don't know what I did wrong or whatever, right? And so we're sitting there talking about, I was like, well, maybe if you would have spilled some of the wine on your thing and walked around with your ass hanging out or whatever, right? So we're trying to figure out ways for him to get what he wants, right? But there's this awkwardness that comes with that shame that gets involved in it. But here's why I bring that up. Because shame fosters fear.
Yeah.
Okay? And fear is commonplace. And shame is what all these demons and entities hide in. Every single one of them, right? In a world filled of people looking at pornography about their stepdad and their sister and their brother, you know, the distortion that comes in place. We're like, oh, I feel bad and naughty. And no one's talking about it, right? But yet everyone's looking at it on Pornhub, and then everyone's acting it out. And then we get these spiritual houses built where all these things are living in them, right? So if more people could realize that shame feeds that fear, and then in that fear, people go back in, and there's this like endpoint that creates this conscious road, and there's these non-truths and this dishonesty, and there's the pureness of being humans being taken out of the equation. And that's what I love about you cats, because I'm like, well, let's just talk it out. And so through that conversation with him, it helped me clear a pattern in my world with some strange, you know, whatever you could call perversions or things, like whatever it does that does it for you. Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with whatever does it for you. Yeah. But how many people legit talk about what really does it for you? Most people are like, oh, it's off the realm of normal. But another reason I bring up hair, and I had this conversation with my son, I'm like, how many women have you had intercourse with that had no hair on their vagina? And he says, all of them. I'm like, how's that any different from you having sex with a 14-year-old girl? And he looked at me and he says, I don't know, Dad. He tried to quantify it with something else, right? But in our world, in our reality, have we not like sexualized women in that way, right?
Totally.
Where it's a function of like, you have to look like A, and if you don't, you're not sexy or you're not beautiful. So that's what I mean by having bigger conversations about how the conversation has like this dirty fog falling in on everybody. And to get those patterns to really clear, we have to have those conversations, right? And I'm just that type of dad that, like, I like to introduce an irritant into my 18-year-old's world.
Sounds like it.
That's what
came up to me for this week, right? About that. And I keep having people coming up, and I'll feel that shame, and I'll be like, well, let's just talk about it, man. Like, what's up? Like, what's going on with you? And, like, so much healing has came from that, you know?
Yeah.
So much of it. And then the shame around being a bad daughter or kid, or the shame around my parents are drug addict and they have 3 divorces, and I don't say it's my fault, but I feel it is somewhere that I did something wrong, and I'm a bad kid. That's all it takes for these kids to say something's wrong with me and I don't know what it is, and then they'll look for something as a reminder for that. And if they don't have like a cool friend group and you're not creating like a field or a grid of continuity, people fall through those cracks, and then they get guns, and then they grab drugs, and then they start cutting themselves, like tattoos, or I can't tell you how many people go and well, let me just cut the hurting out so I feel better. Well, what the fuck happened between point A and point C for you to go in?
Wow.
You know what I mean? To do that, at what point do you feel like you need to hurt yourself? It's that pain, pleasure, victimization dynamic that we gotta clear on this planet, as weird as that sounds. But there's something ain't right in this plane. Like, something's not right, you know? And I just look at the way that you guys have congealed and created this thing seated in love, hypercharged with some drug abuse.
Of course. Let's have a little fun.
Man.
Just a little.
There you go. Yes.
Oh,
anyway, I kind of went off on a rant, but that's been on my mind because I feel it in everybody, man. And if you could just be like, what do I have shame about? And then see how it's connected in with fear. And then you can, Cass and I talked about this, and I mentioned it after I talked to you. Someone else mentioned this to me, and she had just spent 2 weeks in a mental facility because she had a full-on breakdown. And her piece of shit friend decided that when she called, she was going to let her know that she was a loser and a terrible person, and how dare she go there and not reach out to her first, like ripping a scab off the wound. And in that moment, I was like, this world sucks. I don't want to be here anymore. This is what people do when they're deficient and they are just angry and they looking for energy from somewhere. And in that moment, she told me the way she got through that and all those fear principles. She was like full-on gratitude, acceptance, and then from there, like, you get the peace starts rolling, you know? And so how many people do you know can look out at what's happening in the world and say, oh, we're stuck in the house and the economy's tanking and my 401k is falling apart, and say, well, I'm grateful right now in this moment to be able to share this moment with the people that are currently in my life, even if it's just me and my Roddy, if we make it out to go on a walk, right?
Yeah.
Or I'm able to kind of like gradate into a deeper space of consciousness to carve out and own that area to have a realer conversation. And then you'll feel people come flush into the moment, and then you'll get like this, you'll get the real, you know? Like it'll be authentic. And then you won't have to convince anybody of anything. Then you get what's there. And then that's just a bunch of beautiful people trying to do magic together to create. And then that rolls waves out into the world, and everyone feels it, you know? The animals, the trees, the people that are sick. So, yeah.
It feels like we're at the dawn of a new age, and I'm loving that it's coinciding with us knowing you, because it really feels like a shift in power is happening. Because everything you talk about, like with the fetishes or the abuse or whatever it is, self-abuse, abuse of other people, it feels like we're trying to find a rebalance of power where there is not power to kind of level out, you know? And it reminds me of kind of an experience that we mentioned in the last podcast where, you know, we were in the room and you kind of brought us all up together, you know, and it really felt like there was, in what you described it as a shift from a reclamation of feminine power, you know? Does that make sense? Can you remember what we were talking about? And we really felt that on Sunday especially, you know, this switch from, you know, a consumption domination culture to one of co-creation and planting of seeds and taking care of each other. And I mean, are you feeling that happen?
Oh, for sure. I'm like leading the front as I'm watching the left side of every human being right now has all of these seals and these implants that happened because of when Lemuria fell and those Atlantean male forces flipped a switch. And there was a cascade that happened to lock down that feminine aperture. In the female body, there's more heart on the left side. If you look at a woman's bodies, a lot of women now will have a more pronounced breast on the left side even. Like you can see the genetic miasm coming through, right? Like if you look... I know I'm more sensitive on my left nipple, so for me, that's how it comes
Everyone
through,
test
right?
it.
Yeah, right. But the point in that is regaining... Okay, so think of it like this, say. If you ever heard someone talk about the left-handed path and it being the evil path... And when you were in Catholic school, did you know anyone with the left hand and the nun would slap him on the left hand?
Yeah, that goes back.
And I don't remember anything with the left hand, but I do remember like ruler slaps in preschool.
Ooh, you're too young for that. That should have been outdated by then. That's crazy.
Because you were a bad
preschool.
girl, right?
It wasn't me. I was an angel child. It used to be, but
Now you're hanging out with us.
So that's what that left side is being reclaimed. So the female energies are starting to come back through, and it's more of this. The male energies are emerald and very green as they come through, as they feed down from the higher octaves, and then the female energies are more of like a rich red, like the color of like the color of period blood. It's very rich. It's almost like a mix of that blood and then the fluid membrane when a woman's carrying a child. So if you're asking me, retrieving that and regaining that aspect, there's been in 1996 something happened and darkness shifted like a cover over top of this realm, and ever since then there's been a move to reopen it so that everything can balance, like a balance in the Force. I mean, I hate to go all Star Wars on it, but that's the way it was explained to me. And I don't know why 1996 is significant, but something happened in Atlanta, Georgia. There was the Olympics, whatever.
Bombing,
I need to look it up. There was a bombing, right? Someone else mentioned that to me. That's when that bombing occurred, too, right? Yeah.
It was the first year that the Grateful Dead weren't touring. You know?
That they weren't?
Jerry Garcia died at the end of the summer tour.
Well, there you fucking go.
Yeah.
Wasn't that like Monica Lewinsky time, too?
There was a huge LSD bust, and the way that LSD was distributed, usually through the Deadheads, was not happening anymore. So the LSD consumption in this country plummeted in 1996. Apparently, that's just that's
because the work that they were doing and what you really is going in there and creating a buffer of love in that astral portal to keep the things from laminating onto our realm. So mad props for what the Dead were doing and for what the flower power generation. Like we got to get back to that type of understanding.
Oh, they were preventing this.
Yes.
They were like staving it off the best they could.
Yep. And whatever I think I know that bus because there was one guy that lived in a bunker that was making like all the LSD at that time, man. And if you know his story, that guy. I mean, he was pumping it out, man. Like doing the good work for sure.
Yeah.
You know, so
he
those
funded
are the tools.
The Grateful Dead with with the money from the LSD. He was the Grateful Dead sound guy, and he was funding their whole operation. Oh, and they were living with him, and it wasn't just LSD. It was DMT was a huge part of their origin story, and probably a huge part of like the beginning of them being able to fight off that cloud of darkness. Does that help?
Yeah, whatever you want to call that thing. And I'm so hesitant to even talk about it, but I see it rampantly, and the way it's came through and got its little claws into the major 4 pillars in society. You see it, the little snake wrapped around the pole in the World Health Organization. In the medical model, the little snake, you see it on the front of a hospital.
Yeah, what is that?
It's also on Colgate toothpaste.
Yeah.
With fluoride in it.
Huh.
We can take it a little further. There's all kinds of other things that have snakes associated with it, like Slytherin from Harry Potter. you see you're getting closer to the microphone because shit just got real. Well, what that snake really represents is an infusion into those pillars that feed a lot of it. I don't know if you noticed this or not, but when you go into a hospital, you're more likely to die going in there than you are walking out, and or catching a superbug or pneumonia. 8 out of 10 people on a ventilator with this illness, they die. And I've heard stories of people going into comas and getting pulled into these inversions and like living through nightmares, man. Like I pull people out of that stuff.
Yeah.
I did it 3 days ago, And the amount of change you can see in someone once you get them to come like flush back up through their reality is like pretty profound. And not everybody inherited a real hardy template. Like you Carrie, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. You inherited like a very hardy template genetically. So there's stuff that doesn't land on you. You hold the lower frequency aperture, and Cass holds the higher one, and he's right in middle ground, just holding on for dear life the whole time.
Damn, dude.
Sounds about
Pretty
right.
much, man. That's how that works, right? And so you'll see people come together and they'll counterbalance the energies out. But that's what I mean by some of the conscious work for you, if anything, would be to like lighten whatever is going on down in your sacral chakra, and so that things can start to rise up, to reach up into that higher octave. But that's a great example of how some people will just have a more open flow and disposition. Like Cass has stuff coming in and out of her airspace on the regularly, where with Carrie it's like you halt there, mofo, you come no further, right? Some people can't draw that much, because I feel her creating a boundary around you guys, whether she knows it or not, because she has that amount of draw, similar to me in some ways, right? You know, like we should get together at some time and I'll draw a circle and we can see if we can get you to, do some cool stuff.
Whoa.
It'd be fun, you never know if you get people that are down. But getting back to the snakes and seeing that symbol, when you get what the World Health Organization is really doing, when you get what's going on in the medical model and pharma, hello, man, I can make you a blend with the sativa strain that I grow, and it'll do you better than any of this other garbage in the world, period, right? No matter what it might be. Mm-hmm. So pharma, and then also the formal education system. If you look at the seals of most states and like Harvard and Yale and the big three that people pay all this money for, you'll see that little snake. It's everywhere. And that's a representation of whatever you want to call those Orion forces, Orion. And I group into that Anunnaki, Nephilim, Luciferian, Tothian, Draconian. It's all the same thing. It's all the same force. They've banded together. We're talking about a group of people that understand brotherhood and camaraderie, warriors, full on. They don't know defeat. They're like fight to the last man standing, and it's something that a lot of humans just don't have and are not. Namaste, light and light. Let me not look at the terrible. But then, Cass, what I've seen you doing is separating yourself out from it, and then when you look at it from that bigger picture, broader. From love, the way you observe all of it, it collapses that waveform. And what was I telling you? Just import pink pixie lovey-dovey. Just
my
see
bronies.
it what you.
Yeah. My Little Ponies.
My Little Ponies, right? There's a big new upsurge of men working with My Little Ponies. It's like a whole cult now. Like in Japan, if you heard about it.
No, it's big here too. Bronies.
Yeah.
Has
they
it
call
been?
them.
Bronies.
Yeah.
Rock and roll, man.
What is that about? Why are they doing that?
Men just need a safe space to embrace not the male collective, not war. And I guess My Little Ponies is there's something about that where a man can here's a man playing with something that looks like a doll or a girly thing.
Yeah.
God forbid, right? So I think there is something to be said for that whole movement. It's just people needing to feel space where it's not always punches and hurts and injuries and insults coming together.
That's the juggalos, I think that's why people watch our movie about juggalos and they think that they're gonna like hate watch them, and they come out the other end a lot of times knowing they are them, and like their circle of compassion has expanded that much more to where they realize that they are a fucking juggalo.
I ordered some antique tools off the internet. I could show you. I got an antique butcher knife, and it is creepy.
Nice. You're a true hatchet man.
I guess so, and I picked it up, and I thought of you guys. I was like, does this mean I'm right with this whole juggalo thing? But for me, it represents cutting through the hate and cutting through the garbage.
Mm.
Yeah.
And being whatever, and being what hello, people. Be what you need to be. You are an original, authentic snowflake, and you come together and create a blanket of snow. It's ridiculous if people think I'm just one snowflake in my negative ego and I'm just going to eat the whole mountain. I don't need all you other snowflakes because I'm just going to be me. But that's what we teach our kids. That's what we teach. That's what is rampant, right?
It makes them good consumers.
Yeah. And you're really consuming yourself. I mean, are you not, right?
Yeah.
Being taught to consume, and then you're in consumption, and it's that snake consuming its tail. Yeah. And they just sit and laugh at us.
I know.
You know, man, in the insurance industry, it's like man works to get money, and then your money goes to work for you. So we would put them in an annuity, or we'd put them in a safe investment, which right now none of them are. If it was a mutual fund or whatever it might be. And a lot of people don't know that about me, that I hold a degree in accounting, and I was a financial planner for 4 years.
Jeez.
And I wrote massive, tax beneficial programs for people. And the one thing I learned from that is people don't like paying taxes, and they love their money. And I can't tell you how many lawyers would tell me, you know what, I'm not leaving shit to my kids. I'm going to buy an airplane. I'm going to do whatever I want. I'm like, nah, I'm out, man. Like more oftentimes than not. But something happened to me, and I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I felt my soul doing something I wasn't comfortable with. You know what I mean? Like, whatever was happening to me, I was getting pulled into the grind or into that system. There was like this coldness, and people would come through, and then my dad would joke about, well, whoever brings us the $2,000 retainer, that's the one that gets our services. And we knew the whole system. The lawyers, the country club, they would all sit together and laugh at everybody. Do you know that's how it works?
Wow.
The ultra wealthy get together and they just laugh about it. When they're not in the courtroom at each other's throats, they're playing cards in a locker room where only men can be in, with a bunch of naked mofos running around playing golf with people waiting after their every whim. And that's that differentiation in society. And it never felt right to me, man, you know? So flash forward, now I have all those references for whatever happened to me. Whatever's up there was like, okay, you've been here and now you're going somewhere else. And so I went through this gradient, and I just kept moving through it. And at the end of it, I was like, there's something way bigger out there, whatever you want to call it. And I need to reach for it. And then I'll have like a conversation like what I had with Cass. And then I'm looking at these beautiful souls here. They're just like, okay, I'm not totally sure what's going on, but something's off. It ain't right, you know? So, and just what I was talking to you about with the snakes and all that, they'll probably come after me just for saying that. You should know that. They don't want you to know that those 4 systems that are integrated that feed down, they trickle energy. People go in and get cut. How about kids so morbidly obese that they have to go in for lap band surgery and then have complications and blood clots their whole life? Right? And then these entities get into their energy body, and they already feel terrible shame about themselves for being obese, when everywhere you go, on every corner, oh my God, there's another place where you can consume way more than you need to consume in terms of calories, you know? I mean, you two, fit as a fiddle, probably only have to like live off of the ethereal goo of the universe, right? You have to carry. Sean and Cass are a rare breed of souls, are they not? like how lucky are you to be able to drink in the majestic glory which they are? And then Cass, and I've been laughing for 2 days, because the moment I showed up and I was like, Cass, like, hit me off with some of that wisdom, right? Like, teach me something, girl. Like, it's just so profound what she said. And I was just like, oh my God, holy shit. I was like, here I am as the man in this position. I should just shut up and let her say something real, you know? So I'm going to try to do that right now, but I keep laughing because it was like what she said. I'm going to write it down. It was good. And I was like, yes, gratitude. And she's right, you know?
Oh, so, yeah. What do you always tell people?
I have no idea. I feel like I'm just feeding Gabriel back wisdom that he gave me.
Well,
no. It ain't that at all. And that's just what I wanted. You want to talk about working through this pattern? So how about I reach right through that, where in the world we've had it set up in that male tyranny form, women are used to having to take the back burner. So I'm going to take a moment, and here's exactly what she said to me. And this was real, and I'll never forget it. You gravitate to that which you secretly love most.
I didn't say this. This is beautiful, but I didn't say it.
Just that much is real, but it meant a lot to me, right? And it came from that channel, and this is how she lives. This is how it is. There's no chance, coincidence, or accident in a world ruled by law and divine order. But the indigo in me was like, fuck law and divine order. Let's just break the whole system and start from over, and we're going to unplug. We'll get whatever's up there to come back. Let the Amazonite women come back. Like, whoa. Carrie, you look like one of those Amazonite girls that whip out a magic wand and off everybody, so... Keep an eye on that one. I know it when I see it. I've learned the hard way to respect that magic, whatever that is. I'm still trying to figure it out. But yeah, Cass, that was like, that really, I wanted to take the time to say that really meant a lot to me, you sending that, you know? and then you're like, I'm on a gratitude IV drip, morning, noon, and night. Only thing that gets me through. How raw and authentic is that? Who do you know that's like, I sit on a gratitude IV drip? Yeah. Find me someone more angelic and more beautiful than that. Go ahead. I dare you. So I wanted to take a moment and send that energy back to Cass, because that's what Sean. That's what we have to do as men.
Yeah.
We gotta like be like, hey, not only are you the holder of life for 9 months, but you're also gorgeous, wise, and beautiful. And if we could just sit back and let you all flower and blossom, we might have a chance to make it through this thing in a world full of lawyers and engineers and presidents with presidential egos, and it's out of control, right? So thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
And I've learned to send the energy back.
Thank you to Funkadelic, which some of those words are from, because
Funkadelic, yeah, George Clinton wrote the first words you were saying.
Yeah.
That's from a song called Good Thoughts, Bad Thoughts, which everyone should listen to. We've played many times.
Yeah.
And then the other part was pure Cass, but the gratitude, her being on an IV drip of gratitude, I've seen her graduate to that dimension. And I feel like it's so amazing to bear witness to somebody like coming into gratitude all the time, and gratitude, and I feel like the synchronicities and people like Carrie coming into our world and yourself are like the little gifts and the reminders that like you've popped up a dimension. And I feel like gratitude's actually the fuel for it all.
Yeah, the flowers are prettier, that's for sure.
Yeah.
The flowers?
Yeah, the flowers, the gifts, the life of like when you recognize the gifts that you're receiving, the gifts get even better.
They do, huh?
Yeah.
See, she did it again. See how she's all nonchalant, like, when you recognize the gifts that you've been given and you're able to sit in your own truth, then you will ascend into a higher evolutionary plane, and you can stop recycling the death energies, and then maybe the angels will come back and put an end to all the affliction and the fear and suffering in this realm. You see how she does it all nonchalant like that? It's all about the delivery. It's been a good lesson for me. So
and when I do it, I'm such a showboat. It's why we even have a podcast, you know, and like Cass didn't even want to be on this podcast. She wasn't on it for like 40 episodes, you know, like it was
really?
She wasn't on it for so long, you know. She would do the audio, but when people would address her, she would be like, oh god. You know. But like slowly but surely she just surpassed me and kind of like took over, and it's good.
You don't have to give your power away.
No.
In that statement. But I think what we're recognizing is that this dawn of a new age is going to affect men and women, and it may be equally uncomfortable for both, because we've gotten into a very comfortable routine of the power dynamics, you know. So as the energy shifts and Mother Earth reclaims her power by sending us all inside, there's some adjustment that's required, and adjustment when we realize the patterns underneath us that cause us to relate with human beings dependent on their gender different ways, based on how the assumptions we make about who they are and the power they hold, right?
She did it again. She did it again.
It was good. That was really good.
I so want to relate to people. That's why if anyone is on here, if you look authentically from my heart, from my soul, I have heard every single possible thing you could ever possibly imagine. When you hang open a placard and says, come talk to me, and you open up that door, you usually get people with issues, not, I skinned my knee, I need a Band-Aid, right? I love you. I want to know what's hurting you. I want to know what's going on in your world. It's not about the money. If I don't have the time or the skill set to help you with whatever's going on in your world, yet another thing missing in the spiritual community with people that are quote-unquote healers, like I'm not a healer. I'm an advocate to help assist you to get into a better revolution, to reach a higher plane, to talk to your higher self, to integrate so that your soul can express itself, right? Or what is your heart medicine? I mean, can you imagine a world of people that were like, hey, what's up? What's your heart medicine? Like, how can you share your love in the world? It makes me want to cry just thinking about it, man. Yeah. Like, how great would that world be? It'd be a really different New York. You couldn't even walk down the block without catching 10 or 15 hugs.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So I'm like, how do we go the other opposite direction? You catch a hold of me, you're going to get the hug of your life. I'm like, okay, social distancing. You know? I know what happens when we leave this place. I know what's going on. I know how distorted things are. And you are not alone if you're hearing this, because I hear like there's one person out there right now. I so love you and I care for you. You don't have to sit down in there and be alone in that. It does not mean that if you're hearing something, if something's coming at you at night, it is not normal. There is help out there, I promise you. And it is a dream of mine to be able to come true and authentic in a place of purity and without embellishment and without trying to garner anything, but attempting to form that fabric. It's like a fog on the jungle floor. Right? Like Mother Earth, all she knows is blanketing rich water fog on all of her beautiful plants in the morning. And like, if you take that fog away, you get a bunch of withering plants and vines. And then the bugs and the critters and the snakes and everything else, they don't get the cover. They don't get the nutrition. They don't get the ethereal essence. I need a tulsi mira muna Italian yechon de Leni Odor in the Amale in the colony just on the and it's just so the mother, she so badly wants her children back, and I need it all just from the heart. I just sometimes will feel it come through, because I often feel like I'm an advocate for whatever that balancer is for her, for our great mother. And how ridiculous is it that we've sprawled out in these concrete jungles where you can't find a tree and you can't plant cannabis, right? And it's like that getting your hands in the soil and that microbiome and like eating dirt and the B vitamins on a carrot that you pull out of the ground, those B vitamins as a vegan. Now we have to take B12 so that we're not deficient. Yeah. And now we're in this world where it's like, whoa, you got to eat an animal. Well, guess what? There's an agenda to make all the animals sick right now. And what's the next most available meat supply in the world?
Us.
Yeah. Think about that, right? And just with beans and legumes and everything else, and we joke around about it, and that's why more of us now need to get together and like meditate and like see the love and be the new pattern and be in our heart, because that can not only get the timeline aperture. Think of time as an aperture, and with the 100 monkey, if you get enough people that are seeing it from here, then the time will do this, and then the realm will start to open. And remember that chaos thing I was talking to you about, Cass, where you're the eye in the storm? When you get that realm to start to move this way, then the entire dimension will fold in, and then the new one can come in, and then that timeline can move through that new dimension, move through that realm, and access this timeline. When you understand that there's splitter technology and that there's big tech involved in keeping a differential still in place so that we stay stuck on the not so good timeline, man. Because I don't know about you, but I'm not down with having to walk outside and fend off, be like, dude, you're not going to eat me, bro. Back up. You know what I mean? Because there's a viral pathogen that turns people into like hungry for like flesh. When you really get what the World Health Organization is doing and the shots that they're going to try to give you, know, don't be like, look, no, you're not giving me that stuff. You all need to come somewhere. You come on down here to good old West Virginia. I'll build a little compound in the back of my house, put 5,000 people in a mountain and wait for this thing to pass over, man. So, I mean, I kind of went on a bit of an epic rant there. You're welcome, world. But please don't be foolish enough to think that they are, are really, really looking out for you. It's out of control. And I really feel like the more of us that can be love and not be in fear. But I run that gamut of, we need to talk about this, right? And then not be in fear. But a lot of people are like, oh, that's conspiracy theory and that's fear porn and oh, I'm not, no, that's not for me. I think I'm just going to jump on Pornhub and take this thing that looks like a dragon and see whatever hole I can get it in. And then I'm going to take my Zoloft and I'm going to pray to that beautiful, beautiful Jesus that I have urges for, but I have shame talking about how I want to ride Jesus if I could just sit on his face. And glory, hallelujah. Then I will finally get what I've been needing and missing from my life, which is, I don't know, real and spirit and the raw grittiness that we're needed as men to rally and be like, okay, let's at least try to have a conversation about it. And I try to use humor to talk about topics that really need to be addressed, because I mean, who else is going to do it? Most of what you see in the news is garbage. You're being peddled a bunch of stuff, and none of it's really positive. They at least used to have one good story about a cat coming out of a tree. Do you remember the news?
Yeah,
back
you used
then?
to finish every broadcast with something with a cat or a dog or some fucking, uplifting thing.
Yeah, where are the uplifting things? It's like we're having to fight to uplift ourselves, isn't it?
Oh yeah, we're being put in this isolation chamber right now, and I don't know. It's bringing out our true colors. I think ultimately it's helping us. Like, you should see how we're behaving. Like, our place is starting to look more like yours. Like, there's all kinds of little projects going on. We're growing things in here, and there's bottles of this and that. And we have like, I'm like the master of like sprays and scents and stuff. And these girls are growing and cooking things that you wouldn't fucking believe. We're making our own almond milk. We're making granola bars out of the almond leftovers from that. Like, everything's being used. You should see the fucking cannabis coconut oil that Carrie made yesterday.
Oh, it's bright green.
Holy
wow.
fuck, dude.
I bet. Well, she's got a gift with potions. It's because she's got all that, whatever that is. And I'm not sure. Trying to quantify it with words is ridiculous. But I bet if under a full moon and you let her run wild and free, you'll behold it, won't you? And then it's just like, I just need to hold on for dear life and see how many babies comes out of this magical event that has occurred right here in this moment, So that, again, every time I have the moment to honor a powerful woman, if more of us can do that and then hand back, they're so used to giving the energy to the men and giving their pieces to the men because of what happened in the feudal age, because the tyrants had the castle and all the grain, and so the women had to survive, had to do things and look a certain way. So as we're kind of breaking out of that pattern, whenever I feel it, like, I'll shift it and I'll give the women all of that energy back and see where they can take it in, because women have been so modulated to just like be like a bucket for whatever fluid currently comes out of that man, which is not appropriate to ever do that to a woman. There's a natural channel where it goes up into the vaginal canal and then they hold it, and then a woman's body produces more estrogen as that seed sits, and then it's supposed to create magic as it comes out and into fruition. All the stuff you see in porn is just, it feeds into those Luciferian inversion grids, and it needs to go away, because we need to stop teaching our little girls to be strippers at the age of 10. Thanks for that, Jennifer Lopez, right?
Shit.
We need to, like, for me, I'm an old school Victorian soul, right? Like, I remember when there used to be a 3-hour process to bathing, clothing, combing hair, use the chamber pot, and every bit of it was beautiful, and every bit of it was intimate. And then when those two souls came together, it was like fireworks going off, man. And if you even just touch the nipple one time, she was like, woo!
Yes.
Like, we need to get back to that. I feel like we
Right
should
on.
not going backwards in time, but like honoring every form of the woman, because these days it's like everything is on display. And I don't want to see all that. And most of the women that are on Instagram, I'm like, there's just too much of everything, and I can see every bit of it. And with these floss bikinis, as a man, is it not fair? Can you walk in the world and not see the thong in the yoga pants, and you're like, oh my girl, immediate erection?
It's getting too.
I'm all for female sexuality being out there and then being real with them, but at some point we gotta be like, I try to get together a group of friends of mine so we could walk around with the yoga pants on and return the favor to all the women. And the looks that we got, like, could you please cover up your package? And I'm like, well, could you cover up your package? And then there was like no more conversation to have, because at that moment it gets a little awkward, right?
Free the package.
I love it. I love when the package is out. I love when you see media now and it's like they're showing dick and stuff. I'm like, yeah, that's exactly how it should be.
Oh yeah. When you
is
see
that
some guy,
is that the term? Showing dick? Is that?
Yeah.
Did that just happen?
Showing dick.
See, Cass did it again. You see how she was like, showing dick all nonchalant like that. I love it. I'm a big fan.
Oh, dude.
But yeah, go ahead. I kind of get going with it, and I'm
No,
like,
we
the
love
world
it.
could be so much better.
Oh man, I
Yeah,
wish
those
we were
old
chilling and we
patterns.
could be playing cards while we had this conversation. Really
Yeah, that'd be
seeing what's
great.
going on.
I finally got things put into place where I could actually use the DMT and it won't blow the top off of my crown chakra. You got to be well put together to really take those things in. And I use a Syrian rue derivative in lemon juice when I make it, right? Like, you can actually produce it. You probably have access to it.
We have
But
some
I have to
Syrian
actually
rue
do
even.
shit with stuff to be able to use it. And when I do, it's like a 2-day thing. And then sometimes we'll add in a mescaline derivative. I'm a big fan of like the old Indian mescaline peyote, because then you really journey and you go in hard. And what do people do when they're on that? They usually make a mound and start a fire in it. And then they're like contained in that elemental force, right? Yeah. Like if you do a sweat, like a legit one, and you eat the whole thing. So, there are places for it for sure. I'm not...
Dude. What other psychedelics? What else are you into?
It's been a while because I've been on this natural kick of like no jewelry, nothing that changes my mental chemical structure, because I've been working to deepen my access to higher frequencies and to be able to ground it out and do it naturally. Because there's a way that your endocrine system and your chemical biology elicits a bigger ethereal cosmic handshake with the higher octave dimensional planes of reality. Did you hear? I just said some real shit right there. I don't know if you know that or not, but I felt it when it came out. That was really good. And so now I can feel energy coming out of my nipples, and my balls are like a catalyst of life force creation, and I can make other realms and shit. I actually did it a couple days ago.
Nice.
I know, right? Real talk, man. She called Gemini every time. You know what? Geminis are like catnip for me, and I need to figure it out because it's like it's like Superman's kryptonite. Oh hell yeah! Every time Geminis. I get around one, and I'm like, look, if you toss that bad twin at me one more time, man, like we're gonna go take over the world. You see how I got real Sith Lord for me real quick just now, like that, right? It's something about where I'm very Libra, so I'll balance it, and when all that wind comes in, it gets all walk like an Egyptian on me, right? And then I'll go into my shadow aspect, and for me to gain control over that powerful shadow chaos part of my masculinity, to hold it in my body and not project it out to waste my magic, has been nothing short of like a really difficult discipline to acquire that tonality. But for me, garnering a mastery of consciousness through the ethereal and then through the astral realm, and doing it naturally so that I can hold those frequencies and counterbalance them in the bottom part of my sacral and my body, was really the kicker. And so now I can go back, like when you guys roll through and we want to have smoke out, choke out again for 2 straight days, then I can go into that space and I can pattern into it. Because now for me, if I use a substance, I'm accessing every other person that has created the morphic field around that substance.
Yeah, I felt that on Sunday with the acid, especially because it was a day that everyone was doing acid because it was bicycle day.
Oh, okay. Yeah, whoa. I did not know that.
Oh, yeah.
I should have taken some.
Whoa, dude. What about, I wanted to ask you about, I woke up thinking I wanted to ask you about tobacco.
I ordered some real true Peruvian tobacco seeds. I'm going to grow some in my backyard. And I ordered 3 types of belladonna plant. I have this terrible fear. When you die, don't go to a morgue and let them cut your organs out. No. Don't give your organs away. No, spiritually it's absolutely a nightmare. Whoa, like when I go, or when my dog gets to the point where she's gonna go, we're gonna do it full on Viking, and we're gonna do it Socrates style, and I'm gonna give her belladonna, and she's gonna slip off, and I'm gonna carry that beautiful girl right up to the light personally, and that's how it needs to be done, right? You see how like inside I'm crying in my soul right now? I feel that strongly about it, but I have a relationship with death that I have earned. Because once you have an appreciation for life, once you really get to understand the entropic nature of death. And when a body goes into entropy, they give off so much energy. So much energy. And when you go to the morgue, you get pulled into one of that pillar, the medical model. For real. Like your energy will roll into that and you can get hung up on it. And I know it got real and a little deep right there, but I had an experience where I had some energies come through and they did not know that there are beings without souls on this planet that are causing mayhem. And so we had like this 5-hour powwow sit down about what's really going on and the beings that are here that don't have souls and like how they've just wreaked havoc. And they're like, well, we just didn't know. And I'm like, well, I don't know how I got down here or how it happened. I do know it was from 15 years of being like not regular job, a whole lot of celibacy. Instead of rubbing one off, let me sit here and let that energy rise up into my pineal gland, taking the cage off my thymus, letting my throat chakra buzz, right? Being silent in my silence So little things that you can do. And I don't expect everyone to go on full spiritual warriorship, which was a term I heard from David Wilcox's wife last night. But that's kind of like what it's about. Like it's a warrior ship, where it's a ship that warriors are on together, and then spiritually we're able to regain. What I feel like I've done is regain access. Because I remember in Egyptian lives where I would see the women draw down the Nile and bring Isis forth, and then from their endocrine glands the pheromones would come out of their armpits, and this massive magic plume would come out like a beautiful like bird almost. And then now what do we tell women to do? Shave their armpits, put deodorant poison in there, and God forbid as a human being you give off a pheromone signature. That's what they wanted. They wanted you covered in aluminum, and they want women and men to be all shaven. It's because you don't access those deeper and then hold that higher octave so that your expression of heart comes through very true, right? So like that expression is really important through that medium, and that's what I love what you guys have been doing with finding people that have all their different forms of expression, whether they paint their face, whether you find, you know, magic person to make magic can or whatever, and then giving them a voice or an outlet. And I'm incredibly grateful, because I know you guys don't know that about me, but that day I reached out to you and I was like, hey, I'm barely holding on. I was like, my body was here, but we're more spirit than physical. And if you clear enough patterns off of your body, you become more spirit. Yeah. And then you get to make the choice, and that would be ascended master level, I guess, as to, are you going to inhabit that body? And what's that going to look like? And I just didn't see, there's just, regularly there'll be so not love in the world.
You make it look good, though, man. You do.
Well, thank you.
I think you do. That. Like, it's like you're definitely one of the funniest, just coolest people we know. You know, like you're such a gift to this dimension that, like.
Yeah, you better stick around. We need you.
Yeah, just call us anytime you're thinking about not sticking around, and we'll convince you to.
It was a function, too, of there's a massive rift that I see forming in the astral, and a lot of people get the Holy Spirit rolling, or they'll get into astral bliss, or they'll get into some drug-fueled frenzy like at the raves, and then they'll spin in that fifth density. And then the things up in that eighth one, like I was talking about before, they plug in, and then people will get all, right? And that's not so much spirit, that's, you know, that's just more addiction. And so for me, where I work my way up into more cycles of 6 and 12 and getting away from 2 to 5 and 10, my guides called it multiples of duality. Because if you have duality of dark and night sitting here, it creates this ethereal third dimensional bubble, which is the one that all the plants feed. And when you have sex properly, it should feed into that ethereal bubble, right? So when you have beings that have taken that duality and then they multiplied it 2 to 5 to 10, then they keep it stuck in 5 and 10 to keep you out of 6 and 12. Does that make sense, right? The way they use mathematics. The Illuminati, they're all about math and numbers. And then that I is all about 3. And the Holy Trinity in church, do you know about that? Holy Mother, Father, God?
Yeah.
Right?
I don't,
like there's
tell me.
a Trinity.
Yeah, Cass isn't Catholic like Carrie and I.
Oh, well, Carrie, you like well, what did they teach you when you were Catholic? Like the Holy Trinity, like Mother Mary is the father of Jesus, and then through Jesus, it's like then you have Father God, but then you have to go in and talk to Daddy in a hidden secret box and tell Father, Holy Daddy, all your little dirty secrets, and then Hail Mary, full of grace. Now you can go out and be slutty again. What? I mean, tell me if I'm wrong, though, but my dad was Catholic, and all were his brothers, and they were abused at 8 different churches all over America, and he never talks about it. The one time I talked to him about it, I've never seen the look on his face like that ever again. I was like, Dad, I need something. I don't know what's going on. I think God whooped my ass. Catholicism is the oldest one. Maybe I should go there. And he didn't have to say anything to me. You know how some people will give you that look?
Yeah.
Right. And then as a man, men don't talk about being abused, do they?
No.
But it happens all the time.
Yeah.
It does. But anyway, that's a whole nother, all the time, man. I know it's happened to me for sure, like twice, you know.
Oh, dude.
So I was this girl, and she used to tell me, she's like, if I ever get a hold of you and you're drunk, I'm gonna take that dick. It's mine. I'm just telling you. And I'll give it to her. She told me, and she caught me drunk at some hotel party or whatever, and I was like, no. And you're in the throes of whatever, and it happens to men, and they just don't talk about it.
That
happened
to
me.
That happened to me once, and no one believed me, or like they made fun of me, kind of. You know.
See. Well, let's talk about it, because you see what this does? It bridges a gap where we can be vulnerable male together, and it would be the rarest thing in the world. How often do men talk about? So now, yeah, please tell
well,
us
no,
what
I'm not.
happened.
It's not even beyond. Like it was just basically the same thing. It was just like somebody who'd always made it clear, like, yeah, I'm gonna get my chance with you. And I was with somebody for 7 years. I'd never cheated on her, or been with anyone else. I had lost my virginity to this girl, and the first time I ever had pot brownies, I was out of my mind, and. Yeah, went to this place, and this bartender, who was also a friend, gave me, I think I drank 9 Coronas, and then she basically, like, just, like, followed me around until I passed out and, like, took advantage of the situation. And I always, like, don't really like talking about it, because compared to so many women we know, so many that have told us their stories, it's just nothing. It doesn't even feel like anything. Like, the most traumatizing part to me was, like, she was, like, rough with me in a way that, like, I've never had been with, like, that was kind of crazy. But also, like, people finding out, like, I was like, oh, God. Like, and
they gave you a hard time about it, didn't they?
Yeah.
They gave you shit, like, oh, dude, what do you mean? Like, you had sex?
Yeah, kind of.
But the thing that I noticed about that is, like, I could feel your heart looked a certain way. There was a certain amount of, like, I just have to accept this, and then you quantified it with, wait for it, there's a lot worse happening in the world. Yeah. And it happens to a lot more women, but that still doesn't justify the fact that you were taken advantage of.
Yeah.
And I got newsflash, women, if a man gets an erection because of your pheromones, this is not a go sign for you to go jump off his twizzle stick and try to break the thing off with your newfound writing skills that you saw in whatever movie about strippers. No names mentioned, right? Whoa. You know what I mean? But look, as a man, for you to be able to say, like, that happened to you, and I see you.
Oh, yeah.
And then there's a healing that comes from that. I think catharsis, just talking about it. If you're in enough of a loving, conscious space and you have a voice and your voice matters, then the material plane will allow the energy to come true. And then any part of you that got lingering in that experience, I guarantee you're not the only person she did that to.
Yeah, probably not. Maybe she got off on it.
Oh, I guarantee you. Oh, I can tell right off the bat. There's a lot of women out there that'll be on that succubus tip. And let me tell you, because I'm kind of dealing with a little bit of this right now. They'll just show up in your bedroom, and it'll just be just this cloud of stuff. And you'll be like, dude, I don't know about that. What's up with you in that cloud and all those thought forms? Because I see all of it. And I'll be like, are you sitting at the house rubbing one off right now, plotting on how you're going to have? What's happening right now? I'm like, why can't you call me? But there'll be implants in that sacral chakra, and if that girl gets on you, she can transfer those implants. And men have them too. Most men are rampant with those sacral second form implants that roll through, right? They're ethereal. So they will kind of transfer that way. They're viral that way, you know? But that's going down to the deeps of the deeps. But you should know that happens and those things transfer. But thank you for sharing that. I don't often talk about that story, but I'll give it to her. She would tell me every day. She'd be like, if I ever, it was just the way she would do that, and her eye would get all shifty. And I honor her because she took what she wanted, and I'll give her that. But I was passed out drunk in a hotel room with people everywhere, you know. It was awkward. But interesting that you say you lost your virginity. Where did you lose it? Where did you go? Did you know you can get your innocence back? This recently happened to me.
Wow, shit. I've done that before. I think I accidentally stumbled back into my innocence, you know, through shifts in consciousness.
Yeah, you can. I can attest to that. I had some help from some magical beings, and I didn't know it was possible. I opened up. I was really far down in magic, and I had a fairy. I don't know, like the ruler of those fairy realms will come through, like the queen. It's like what you see in the movie, and she speaks on behalf of them. And I thought it'd be fun to make her the most ornate, beautiful drink ever. So I took a copper goblet and I sprayed rose mist all over it, and I sat it down and let it rest. And I took like 8 different kombuchas and this lavender hibiscus syrup, and I mixed it up, and I put some of my cannabis on the top with 2 yarrow flowers on it, and I took it up to my heart. And I was like, on behalf of all the ridiculous humans that don't believe in magic anymore, I love you. And I let off this magic flume out of my heart. And I kissed the goblet, and I made her this whole entire realm and put it in this snow globe. Remember, you're a creator, and all these realms exist off the human world. You've just been fooled into thinking magic's not real. I assure you it is, because you've been to my house and seen everything in here is magical in here. And it's starting to happen at your all's place.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, so I went to bed and I left her that drink, and then if you make something for one of these beings, it's polite to share it with them. So I will never ask anything of a magical creature ever. That's what most humans do. They're like, well, I want a love spell, or I want magic, or I want this. And a lot of humans will steal that fairy magic, like what you'll see in the magicians and otherwise, right? Because it's very potent and powerful. And that's why they're very vindictive, because of what humans did to them. And so I'm sitting there thinking, okay, and I made him this little realm. I was like, here's a safe place for you to live. I'm so sorry. I can't tell you how many times I've went into a magic realm and they've had a terrible experience and they're scared of me. And I'm like, I love you. I will sell out all the humans so that you can have this world back. I'm sorry this happened. I don't know if you knew that about me or not, but I'll throw the humans under the bus so that magic can come back again. That's how I roll. But you're talking to someone who had a chiropractic adjustment on the Olympic Island in Washington by this elven high guard priest, and he beat me up, healed me, cracked my back, threw me on the ground, and I've never experienced anything like that. And it happened in front of my girlfriend at the time, and she was like, did some magical being just toss you around, fix your back, and beat you up to save face to tell us that this was our realm we're walking into, right? And I'm like, yeah, that just happened to me, man. Real talk. So sometimes every now and then depends on, and this was on a particular sativa strain that I picked up in Washington State that I gained access to this realm, by the way. So, but I went to bed after I made that drink and I took a sip of it, didn't think anything of it, had a dream about the first girl that I had ever had any degree of intercourse with, and I saw her beautiful pink flower open, and then I saw this thing come out of it, and it came toward me, and it looked like an orchid. It looked just like this picture up here, right? And it came back to me. I remember thinking, oh wow, that's really intense. And I got up the next morning, and I felt different. I felt different. I don't know how to explain it. And I went down and I touched my junk, and usually you'll touch your genitalia and it'll be kind of smeary and there'll be shame around it, and they'll be like, well, there's that thing I don't fully understand. And I went down there, I was like, well, that feels really different. And I walked outside and I took another sip of the drink, and I hear real loudly, like, we helped you get something sacred back. I was very sacred, right? And they're like, okay, sacred. And then I realized in that moment, I was like, oh my God, the queen of whatever this fairy realm is helped me get my flower back, right? Like, wow. They do flower magic. And what do you say when you lose your virginity? What do you lose? What did
cherry.
You lose?
You lose your
cherry, your flower, your innocence.
Yeah.
I didn't ask to have that back. You cannot believe me if you don't want to, but it became so useful, because now I'm working with one person in particular that got pulled so far off into this demonic realm that if I didn't have that innocence back, that I would get fully pulled in there too. So now I'm actually like using it to go in and do that. So the next time I do actually have physical sharing of swapping of fluids in a magical, beautiful setting where we're bonded together and I'm honoring you and I'm honoring the moment, that would be how I would define that SEX, because that word's been patterned with ownership and garbage, right? It's going to be profound, magnetic, glorious, and magical for sure, right? So now I'm kind of like, all right, I would have to have, the moment would have to be right, and it would have to be that the right person that I could step into that with. And that's how we should look at that sharing and swapping of fluids, because that's what's happening in that moment. And it binds you to that person indefinitely, unless you really know what you're doing to like unbind from that, you know. And that's like you guys have set together this very beautiful thing and you're swapping, but honor that swapping. And I know not everyone has this happening, but that's what you're doing, right? So, and I can hear you out there that are judging me. Yes, I made a realm for a beautiful fae, yes, I am a straight man, a powerful man, and I would knock all the cobwebs out of everything everywhere that you have. You're welcome. And yes, I woke up and this happened to me. So you're welcome. Believe in magic. I love you. The other stories I have, and as I'm writing another one about a real thing that happened to me in an orc realm. That's my favorite realm of them all. So yeah, we'll go there sometime. I look forward to teaching a class on it where I can actually take people down there.
We want to. That's what we want to film. Like I want to make. I want part of our film about you to be you teaching people that don't know anything about this what the fuck's going on.
Yeah, and I'm feeling those people come together. I had a guy reach out to me, and if you're out there, brother, I love you. Thank you for reaching out, because he's helping to. He reached out to me. He was like, you started talking whatever that Elohim, whatever that light language was, and I went into a state of gnosis, and I had to pause it and just be with the moment. And that was like all he said, man. And I was like, oh, brother, that's profound. Thank you so much. I needed to hear that, because most people are full-on judgmental about it, or they have lots of labels for me when it comes through. But it just kind of rolls through me at this point. And then I messaged him back and sent him the link to my YouTube page, right? And then he kind of he came back out to me, and he was like, well, when are you going to release Wellspring Eternal? And it's a book that no one saw yet. You guys got the readout, Daniel's 3 of those that I did.
Yeah.
He's been going through and speaking them out loud, and now I have all the artwork attached to it, and whatever that guy's tracking. And if you're out there again, thank you. It reminded me of how I need to get in there and finish putting it all together so I can get it out into the world, which has been like a 5-year project for me, and they've been trying to stop me every step of the way from bringing it forward, right? And the one with the Mother Earth that he sent out for you, that one's my best. And Mother Earth told me, she's like, if you guys keep being mean and dicks to each other, I will manifest something and take care of the problem myself. Whether I need to freeze all of you off or manifest some type of viral pathogen to deal with all of you that are taking advantage of all the excess food and meat and the tobacco that I grow that you don't honor before you ingest it first. It's like Cass, right? Like, I love you, but don't make me come fuck you up. Because that's how Mother Earth rolls. She's very powerful that way, and that's what I really loved about that particular story. So anyway, I know once the air starts rolling for me and you guys start sending the energy and the love, I'll go on and on. So I know that's a lot of info, but
we want to do it. We're going to just check in with you all the time. So if you're down to do this from time to time, especially during quarantine, let's do it.
Yeah, why not, man? That's what we got happening. And then whenever you guys can make it back down again, then we could start a fire in the front yard or whatever and party with this big tree in my front yard.
Yeah.
That'd be fun.
Or, morphically, like that house that you guys rented.
Yeah. From
there on out, when you pattern something and you do that type of conveyance with consciousness, you can call it magic, you can call it whatever, I don't care. It's crafting a moment in time that will sit there forever.
Whoa.
So whenever we go back again, the more you do it, the more it creates an opening into that place. And you can ask Daniel, we did something the other day, and it was pulling in so much energy that we had to stop because I could feel it pulling in mojo from my neighbors and from Daniel's house. And we didn't even know. Daniel and I just go hard whenever we did it. And I was like, bro, we got to come up for air because we had left time, and we were working with Saturn magic, and part of the problem has to do with Saturn and the people that worship Saturn, the satanic cults. That's the major issue right now. So we have to regain our access to work with time. And that's my understanding of it. And when you really understand that that's the big kicker, that there's time distortions, right? Because what do we value and appropriate value in the world too? Time, right? My time is more valuable than yours.
Time is money.
Time is right. Time, yeah. Time is money. You know. And what if time were more than money? Just give you something to think about. There's another big.
This is a big
go
one.
Go ahead and smoke that.
Yeah, smoke that.
Put that in your pipe, right? Well, Saturn is way more than that. Chronos, as I call him, the keeper of time.
Well, Gabriel, thank you for sharing your time with us.
You're welcome. Cass, will you please teach me some more wisdom? Or yes, please, dear beautiful goddesses. All that long hair, it's ridiculous. It's too much hair.
You said earlier that you're a Libra. When's your birthday?
Oh, this is okay. Okay, let's do this. This is actually a big this is a big deal for me, so thank you for bringing this out for me. And here's why. I had given my birthday out to someone who cast charts who was very magical. And I don't know if you know this or not, but if you cast a person's chart, you can print it off and you can fix some pretty nasty magic on them with their birth chart. A lot of people don't know that. But I'm going to put it out there anyway because it's a step in trust for me, and I need to move through it to regain trust to begin with. So thank you for calling that out in me. You see it, huh? Okay. My birthday is 1:23 a.m. 10/6/1978.
Whoa.
I'm 10/2, 96.
Are you really?
Mm-hmm. I'm also a Libra.
I thought I saw the Libra balance. Well, thank you for balancing these two out. I see you, girl. It's not easy being Libra. And I'm not even sure what your all's two zodiac signs is, but I transpose to it, but it's not the end-all, be-all of everything, but it does definitely have weight. I've just learned that when I try to date or be married to a Pisces, I always get in too deep, and they need an emotional thing from me that I'm not able to give the way they need it. And so that's kind of like, I mean, I try, but I have a lot of, if you look up my chart, I have a lot of water. I have a Cancer ascendant. I have Scorpio in Mars, Uranus, and Venus. So I'm very cut to the point, if you haven't noticed that about me. So along with all that air and all that balance comes a lot of filling into these watery realms in the ocean that, I mean, I guess most people, you have to work with it though, you know? So thank you for asking. If there's anyone out there that's really good with the astrology and the zodiac, let me know. I'd love to know more about how all of that comes together and how I can better use it with what's happening in the cosmos to know what to do and when to make a move, you know? You're probably good at that, huh? Find me a Libra that doesn't know something about that. But what about you guys? I mean, do share. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to share in a public forum again, along with my phone number and, you know?
Well, yeah, when you said you were attracted to Geminis, I felt that. I got it. Because for me, it's Scorpios.
Is it?
Yeah. I don't know why. But they always seem to ruin my life because I let them.
Well, where's your moon?
See, I don't know enough about it. I want to say it's Virgo. I think someone told me it's Virgo.
That's what it is. That's why you're drawn in the
something
water.
Around that. Yeah. I don't know enough about it, but I know
you're trying to seep their sting out of them because you have a love-hate dynamic with it. I totally understand. But they will come in and ruin things. That's what they do, is because it's that death Pluto energy. When I met you guys at Cosmo, do you know it was a sacred underworld Pluto night? And the underworld was open? I have a profound relationship with the underworld.
Nice.
Profound, man. I had one night, and it's the most romantic thing I've ever seen, where the Grim Reaper and Santa Muerte, if you know who she is, she's Grim Reaper's twin flame. I was playing this cello music, the Benedictus from Hauser, and they showed up in my living room, and they did what they called the Dance of the Dead. And I have never seen a more beautiful and profound celebration of life like ever. And I was crying, bawling, crying, and they're laughing at me, and they gave me some beautiful artifact or whatever. But that's that Scorpio energy, and until you really have a total love for death and entropy to really do magic, you have to destroy chaotically the space first. So you can craft magic on it, and that's what Scorpios will do. But if they're out of control and you let them into your sacred, holiest of holies, they will shoot up all that venom and poison. It gets weird quick, doesn't it? I've had it happen. I've got a Scorpio stalker right now in New Jersey. If you're out there, girl, I love you and I appreciate all that watery stuff. But you know what? Oh my God, what did she say to me? She was like, "Look, you should know. You should just come up here to my lair so we can swap etheric love bodies, and you will never, ever leave again." Do you see how intense it sounds? And for me, the Libra, I'm like, I need to roam. I'm good with a forevermore, but that sounds like never leave. Was that what it was like for you?
I'm from Jersey,
what
so
happened?
there's a certain type of person that comes out of Jersey.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Is it the gothy type of Scorp, or is it the what are you drawn to? It's probably that. I mean, tell me about it.
Scorp.
Do share.
What was the question?
Tell me about it. I want to know.
Just what am I attracted to, or?
Yeah. What is it about that dynamic?
I don't know. I don't know.
You don't know yet.
I don't know yet. Yeah.
Do you feel like you might have lost any aspect of you to any one of these gentlemen or females that you're referring to? When you tune into a frame with them, do you recognize anything that's heavy or dense or hung up?
I don't know. I think it's weird because everyone I've had that sort of experience with has been very different from the last, but they have the similar personality, I guess. Like the kind that doesn't really give a shit. They don't really have filters, just say it how it is. I think I'm attracted to that type, I guess. Just brutal honesty.
I'm a big fan of the brutal honesty. It's really the only way to go. I don't understand. And this is a concept I've been attempting to find an outlet for, and I call it pure truth, right? And I was practicing it today. I was talking, oh my God, this woman, she's so deep and magical, and no one's just ever been authentically real with her, right? And there's all these weird perversions that were floating around in the wind, and I'm like, we need to talk about them. You're not going to get out of that dark cave until you really talk about them. And I'm like, so just tell me, like, be pure with me. Tell me what's going on, especially that you don't want to talk about, because that's what we need to talk about to bring that pattern up to the surface so that it can open, and so that we can get any soul aspects or pieces or parts or aspects or any lingering parts of you that created on that timeline with him. And that's what I mentioned, right? Like, all you have to do is take a moment in your still point, observe you being you, fill into, because there's two of those people that I feel where you're still creating with them on a particular timeline, and you're using energy to keep that open with. And there's one kind of collapsed right there. I can kind of tell because your shoulders shifted. I feel like I was trying to chat with your higher self, man. But I'd be happy to help you pull some of that in. But moreover than that, being able to say, like, hey, you are the master of your reality, and you can fill back into those experiences, and you don't have to be caught up with that. Because what are the exact words that you said when you talked about these Scorpio people? They did what to you?
They ruined my life.
They ruined your life. They destroyed, or I thought you said destroyed, didn't they? I thought that was the word you used.
One of the words. Yeah, I would say destroyed me. I think I said that.
You did say that. That's what I recall. I've got this photo eidetic memory. It's a pain in the ass. Mm-hmm. But yeah, just show me one. Just tune into the one. You know that one. That one right there. That one. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Now be with it. See if you can get out of your mental complex. And drop your consciousness into your heart. Into the place that matters. Your mind just lies to you and creates rifts. There, yeah, go ahead. You can do it. You're very powerful.
Very powerful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're counterbalancing these two and other people in that whole flat you live in. Good Lord. With a little bit of training and told that you're a beautiful goddess and that you're powerful. And pulling all that energy back. They're drawn to you because they're plugged into your power. Plugged into your form. I felt the old Scandinavian crone come out of me just now. Did you hear that? I feel like I was talking to the powerful female on that one. But yeah, just tune into it while we're all holding space. And tell me what you feel. Is there a quality? Is there a memory? Yeah, that right that one. That's it. Go in and feel into that moment and very lovingly go out and look from a higher perspective. They'll come from there and feel into that place, into that layer, into that crud. That's the suffering of the collective consciousness. And very lovingly and be gentle with him, because he's just a hurt, scared little boy in there, taking it out on the mommy he never had. And you swooped in, wanted to be mommy, wanted to be loved. You're like, I can get you out of this darkness, girl. Or boy, or whatever. You know, if you just let me love you, I'll smear my goo all up in your world, right? You Scorpios, you get that goo in you, you've been gooed. Trust me, I know, I've done it, and it's intense, right? So go ahead and fill in there and look around in there. Fill around, cross shade in that frame of reference. And use all that power you have, just a small little bit, and draw yourself nigh back unto you. I love you. I believe in you. You don't need any man to complete you in any way, shape, or form. It's actually quite the contrary. Our guys with the little pipes that we have, you all crafted this world. You make us men, and then you struggle to birth us out, and then you nurture us and feed us and set us loose in the world. And it's up to us to turn back around and love our women, honor our women, respect our women. Before you do anything with that woman, touch her. Put your hand over top of her vulva. Put love into her womb. Touch her hair. Be with her. Be with her for a couple of months first. Get to know her. Get an ice cube. Get a feather. Put on some Marvin Gaye. Lay that woman down and let that love build into a cone. And then in that moment, then you dip into that fire, right? You've got this fire goddess thing in you, and you're drawn to the darkness in them because whether you know it or not, you're a healer, and you're transposing that heavy, dense energy. And that's what you're doing right now in that circuit that you're in. Let the sleeping dogs lie where they may be, and then we rise into that higher octave of tonality. Go ahead. I see a real bright piece of your heart that's starting to come up from the surface right now as we're all observing you. Go ahead and keep pulling it up. Keep drawing it forward. Even if you don't feel it or see it, I assure you it's there. If you would take a moment and trust your intuition and drop down into your power, and then here as all the men, I'll pull all the male garbage off of you for a moment so you can see into the male collective. Don't reinforce the male collective anymore. Why would you do that? It's not comfortable for men, I assure you, because we turn into monsters and we're like, oh, what do we got to do to get a piece of that and to make her have an orgasm? It's not comfortable for us. You can ask Sean, it's not for him. What we're doing right now, it's helping Sean be calm and be centered, and he can pull himself out of it. So go ahead and keep doing it, please, dear goddess. Pull that piece out of there. It's there. That's it. So describe to me what you see in that frame now that we all very lovingly did the best that we could to play a supportive role.
Right now?
Yeah, look back into that frame. Not in your mind, not in your mental complex, not from your body, from spirit. Like feel, tune in, trust your knowing and your intuition. That's what you have as a woman, your intuition, your knowing. The depth. Yeah, from your heart. Pull some energy down into that layer and then retrieve and reacquire who you are. Yeah, until there it is. Yeah, very love. Love will get you further, right?
Yeah.
Well, what you did in there, that don't so much look like love. That looked like degradation and 50 Shades of Grey, and it's creeping me out, especially this part right here. I just saw it. Please don't let men sodomize you. It's not good. It feeds descending fire into those Nephilim reversal grids. So, but as women, they're all like, oh, well, I have to just find the tightest hole to pleasure him with. Hold on, wait, mic check. It's not your job to pleasure a man. You know how many women don't have orgasms right now while they're having sexual intercourse? I assure you, if you spend 3 hours and you get that feather out, you know what I learned from that lesbian couple? The time they spent on this part of the ear and the neck, oh my God, it was like a fountain was flowing from Agrabah. And as a man, you're like, well, I got to get in there. I got to go in there. I got to get in there right now, right? If you just let it build, like let that cone of energy build, and then what you'll have afterwards is an empowered woman and a heal. That's a little bit better. You pulled a little bit of it out. It'll clear out whatever through here has gotten kind of heavy as you're moving through that. And see, the thing with quantum too is Cass cleared that pattern on her heart off her body, and so now she'll be able to hold space for you, clearing it off that middle, so that green frequency of light can come through and clear all that stuff out. And where you're so incredibly deep and powerful and mysterious with all that beautiful red hair, good Lord, it's not even fair, is it, Sean? All that beautiful hair.
Yeah.
Oh my God, like it's just your hair is hypnotizing and magic. And once if you pull it out from there, it disempowers the male collective, which is what needs to happen. And it'll calm and bring your energy flush back into your body and into your form. And then you'll be able to deepen, and then you will have a voice in a moment. So please, by all means, teach me, dear Goddess. Show me how to be better. Show me how to be a better man, a better divine male, to show up for you, to be one with you. Please, by all means, whatever you need to say in the moment, I would really love to hear it. I would be honored to hear it, and then reflect it like the sun reflects the moon. Yeah.
That was beautifully put. Yeah.
That was crazy.
Yeah.
I love you. And you don't have to do anything or be anything. Yeah. You just got to sit and be the glorious reflector.
Yeah.
It's like the silver shimmering, all the mermaids sitting in the ocean, just like waiting for that morning sun to come up and kiss the tops of the waves so they can come and shimmer their truth into the sky. And then the dragons, and they come and they pick up that shimmer out of the sky, and then they carry it forth in the form of clouds. And then those clouds rain down all that beautiful essence all over the world. And then the fairies pick all that essence up and mix it with the pollen and carry it all around. And then they give it to all the other little magical creatures. And that is truly the seat of divinity on this planet, on this plane, on this earth. And every bit of it is absolutely precious and magic. And if we don't learn to honor not only the ocean, but what holds the ocean, our women, that vessel. And Father Earth is the trees, the great sequoia trees. And riddle me this, where are the sequoia trees going to root into if there's nothing to root into? If the very essence of that, what do we root into, right? So, and that's why I was like, anything in that moment. As we work through this pattern, that resistance that you feel to sharing your beautiful voice with a large group of people, that's the pattern that we have to work through. And as we're sitting here counterbalancing it, female Libra, male Libra, whatever we can do, and I'm just moving all as much energy as I can back to you. And I kind of feel Sean like holding that gap for you to do that. And that can allow you to come forward and carry forth your voice in a medium that is true. And that in that truth, there's a love, and it goes on forever. And every being throughout the cosmos can feel it. If it's seated in love, it goes on forever. And it's like an endless wellspring of love. It goes on forever and ever. Yeah. And my friend Nikki taught me that. She was like, newsflash, because she teaches the teachers. She's like, when you do it in love, it's an endless source. Like, you reach into that well, and there's just nothing but love and love and love. And all the little creatures that hide from the ridiculous humans that would eat them on a barbecue, that's how they really feel, right? Like, they have to hide from us because we're not in our heart, and we're not of the highest right and the highest order and the highest purpose. And then here we have all these unseen influences that are affecting our ability to have a voice. So thank you for holding the space that you held. I know you may or not have been a little sketchy on all this, because I realize this is like, I'm a lot, but when I feel the love come through,
break it up.
Like when I'm
you just broke up, Gabriel.
We couldn't hear you, but
Oh, let me try it again. Is that better?
Yeah.
We're probably getting interference. When I feel the opportunity to, on behalf, to be able to speak truth and love in a place where it's deep and profound, and I just met you today.
Yeah.
Right?
We warned her. We got consent before, like, we were like, Carrie, you should be on this podcast. This would be cool. And also, he might just start doing work with you. And she's like, yeah, let's do it.
I can feel it, because your burden is my burden. We're in this together. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, if whatever that is, whatever happened to you, like, ladies out there, if you feel like a man has destroyed you or took away your ability to love or your ability to free and be open, to let those kundalini energies rise up through your body and your vulva and your ovum, and they come up through your throat and open your crown so that you can have a bigger cosmic experience, then you know what? Let's work with that.
Yeah.
Let's stop feeding that downward descending fire. Let's take care of our females, and let's honor them and their voice, right? Because now I'm looking at her, and she's like, even her posture seems to be, you know, whatever this was right here on your heart, I feel it. And you know what? I love you enough. I will sit in there, in that place with these dudes. I don't know if you knew that with me or not, but you showed me 3 of them, and I see them all right now, and I have an eidetic memory. I'll go visit. And this is how I am. This is how much I love for the people that show up. I will go in over the next 3 months and go visit every one of them in Dreamtime, and we'll have conversations about what did you do with her pieces. Do we need to talk about love? I'm very much like that because I'm very watery, and I want people to experience.
I appreciate
the truth
man.
Of love, man. You know, that's how we should be showing up for people. And I'm not saying that from a creepy stalker sense. I'm just meaning our men. Someone needs to show up for men like that, because those guys just didn't have proper parenting. They didn't get nurturing and nourishment. You have to have those 2 things together. You can't have just one, because now we have womanizing men that are just out for a piece of ass, and they leave behind a bunch of residue. So tell me how you're feeling now after that, because we all shared whatever you were holding there. You're not alone.
I don't know. I feel like I just did my dirty laundry in front of you guys.
It feels good.
Almost putting all my cards out on the table, but I think knowing that this is being recorded is really like stopping me from doing that, because I don't know who's going to be listening to this. I don't want to put all my stuff out there.
Well, yeah, we'll have to off the record. Maybe
I did put my birthday out there, forevermore. But maybe that's the same pattern of you being able to share more, because that's the main issue, isn't it? We're afraid to share the totality of who we are, right? To be able to speak about our personal experiences, because oftentimes there's hurt in the personal place of it. Because God forbid someone gives you a crappy, some troll on the Twitter or the Insta, whatever all that stuff is, has something harsh to say about a truth that may have triggered something in them. If you have the opportunity to speak a truth from that deeper, beautiful, oh my goodness, goddess glow that comes off of you, Sean, you lucky mofo, you.
Yeah, I know it.
Then let it trigger people. Let it bring out whatever they need to say. That's their problem. You have the right to sit in your truth. You have the right to be a powerful woman, and your voice matters, and the way your voice carries in the world, it might elevate all the little boys that see in that male collective that that's what they have to do to be a man. To hurt a woman. That woman doesn't have a name. She's just a bitch, or she's a piece of ass. I lecture my son on this all the time. I'm like, look, don't do that. These women, they'll come back around at some point every time. So the more that we can have this conversation, this is how powerful consciousness is. Not only do I feel this bright, beautiful piece of you coming up out of the male collective fold, but once it clears in you, it'll clear that whole entire layer, and it'll collapse in, and so people won't see that structure that's built in place. That thing that women feel like they have to perform in a strip club for the man that has the money, that's wearing the ridiculous noose around his neck that we call the tie of business and consumption. So thank you for holding that wound. Like, how long were you carrying that for? You don't have to talk about what happened. I'm just wondering how long you carried that destruction, or you said ruined you, right?
I mean, I think
what does that mean?
I think it started when I was 15, so however many years ago that was. I just remember, when I turned that age, a lot of things happened. I feel in my life.
What occurred at that time? Is that when your innocence?
Yeah.
Is that when the innocence went bye-bye? Which can be, I didn't know that you could get it back. I assure you it can. I can't believe I shared that story on an open medium, but guess what? I'm bringing magic back for 2020. If you have a problem with it, you can just leave. Like you can leave, you can go live in a cave, whatever. It's fine. I'm bringing it back. So
we're
15,
re-virginizing.
There are 3 or 4 events that happen to you when you're 15 that I see right off the bat that are just like, So, because I look for the inner child, and I feel your inner child. She's like, yeah. Because the thing is, I have a male energy where I'm not looking to push you further in that. I'm actually looking to do the total opposite of that. I'm all about it getting that pattern off of me so that women can come back in and step flush into their personal power. You know what I mean? And so, and that's why when I was talking to Cass, I was like, come on, Cass. I'm like, girl, you are special. And I sat here for 2 days thinking about every way that I could come up with a way to help Cass feel special and beautiful. Like, that's what I've been doing. And I've been putting together this care package, and I've been waiting for Swiss chocolate to arrive so I can mail you out your package, because you can't send out a proper Libra care package without Swiss chocolate from Switzerland, can you, dear Libra? She's been Libra. That's what's been happening. She's been Libraized in your house. It's a very particular type of thing, isn't it? You're like,
it's magic.
This needs to be glorious and exuberant and magic everywhere. Everything needs color, and there needs to be potions everywhere. But yeah, if there's anything else there that's in that circuit when you were 15, I guess you get embedded and then you have an incident, and then you keep going back in to visit whatever that was that you patterned in that thing. And if in that moment you don't have a good experience, because I was on a hotel room after prom and my buddy was passed out drunk on the bed, and that's where I lost my flower, in a ridiculous hotel room. There should be flowers and music and artwork on the wall. It should be a whole ceremony, you know? But most people look at their virginity as this terrible thing that they need to get rid of as soon as they possibly can, don't they? There's like shame around being a virgin. That's the inversions. That's ridiculous. Like, you know, get that stuff back. It happens to men too, doesn't it, Sean?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Men get
like
shame.
A burden.
Yeah, because God forbid you reach out and say, hey man, like, I said no, or I tried to say no, but everything that it means to be a man says I can't talk about this with another man. So thank you for unburdening that moment, Sean. I'm glad. I thought it was funny that my guys were like, talk about that one girl at Cedar Point when you worked at the cafeteria and she came through and she told you she was going to get you, and then you were drunk and then she got you, didn't you? And I was like, yeah. She got me. She told me. But then I try to quantify it with, well, that's what it means to be a man, you know? So
it's so weird because this will happen to me a lot during podcasts, and during podcasts I feel very in flow a lot of the times, and some weird memory will come up, and all I can think is like, that thing just needs to be dealt with right now, and I don't know what I'm going to say, and maybe I would edit this out, even though we've never done that in the history of this podcast, and we probably won't.
No, you should do that. If you feel like you need to edit it, then it needs to be talked about, and people will catch a healing just from listening to this.
Oh,
That's the power of consciousness.
Oh, totally. Like, we've all gone through a lot, and we have time now to slow down and let things process and move some energy. And if we're doing that super consciously, like you're helping us do, it just reveals how magical we are, you know?
Yeah.
This was fucking awesome. We have another podcast actually, so.
Do you right now? Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna go do another one.
On and on. I just was very wanting with Karen. Like, I felt a position so she could sit with it, and you know, I just have such a love for everyone and for what our women have been through. And Cass, she did it to me again. She was like, do you think we could talk about shifting the power from the male back to women again? And I was like, oh yeah, Cass, I'll do the best I can.
Yo, dude, so this was incredible.
I was like, if we have like a pattern that's sitting there, but then I have to reach through all of your personal stuff, and I have to keep showing up, and I'm trying not to be pushy, but the more I can get you to step out of your comfort zone and talk a little bit, and that's why I'll talk about personal things that I probably, frankly, should not, but I will do it anyway, right? But then that allowed you to have just enough of a voice to go in and visit an area that was painful for you long enough to go in and reconnect with that aspect of you, because it gets stilted and it'll sit in that parallel slip. And if you collapse those two wave points between that slip and you bring that aspect back up, then you can get those pieces back up, like this one I've got that I just found lingering out here, and you find a place where you can incorporate it and heal, and then you can start to rebuild the patchwork of the destruction of people in the world that use the terms lost, broken, wounded, and you can call it soul retrieval, you can call it whatever, at its deepest, rawest form. When you learn to work with consciousness, people are splinted, fragmented, hurt, injured, and in need of like true love, you know, pure, true love. And then everything's beautiful. So what's this next podcast about? Do you do them live, or do you just post them like after the fact?
I post them pretty quick. Like, you'll send me this audio, and if it works, I'll put it out pretty quick. But we're going to do one with our friend Ramin, who you should look up his art. It's called Rainbow Brain Skull.
Of course.
Look him up, dude. You and him are like, you guys are operating on a very similar plane, and he just does incredible art, and it's all over the internet for free. Follow him on Instagram, Rainbow Brain Skull.
Or Ramin
Nazir. Yeah, he's
I'll send you an Insta message.
Yeah, you'll love his stuff.
Yeah, link me in, man. That's cool. I'm so grateful. A lady from Sedona reached out to me, and her art is just like, it's deep and really intense. And again, she was like, so are you serious about the bartering? I was like, hell yeah, I'm serious about the bartering. Yeah, I'm like, most of this money has this Babylonian curse on it anyway. I'm like, send me good ganja or homegrown food or a piece of work, or like sing for me. It's something to help soothe my soul with the affliction I'm going through. I'm like, how can we support? When I say your heart medicine, you know, I'm serious about it. So hit me up at wellspringeternal@mail.com or 304-400-9824 anytime, day or night, especially if you're suicidal, especially if that. I have manned many suicide calls in the middle of the night. So I'm sitting on the ledge right now. I don't know what to do. No one's ever cared about me. What do I do right now, man? That's a phone call I've got before. So if you have anything more gnarlier than that, which you probably don't, short of I'm laid up and I'm about to shoot up dope and I don't care anymore, I want to hear about that too. Because it's those phone calls that are going to get us all through it. So if you have this thing like, this dude was totally not mean, he was not, that's not cool, and then this was supposed to be intimate and it wasn't, and rude, then that seems pretty shallow given, but every person matters and every problem matters. So thank you for providing the medium. That the people that reached out to me, I was just so tickled. I didn't think anyone was going to reach out to me. You know what I mean?
There'll be more.
Yeah,
for sure. And you, motherfucker, if you're ever feeling like you want to just take your dog and go into the light, call us, man. Just call us up.
Man, I will do that. How did you know I was considering doing that, man?
Because you fucking told us before.
Oh yeah, you're right. You're right. It's only when the moon is at a certain angle when I see that opening, man. But then every time I go up there and I ask, they're like, "No, you gotta stay here." And I'll be like, "Well, why?" I'm like, I don't know if you guys know this because you're not in bodies, but it's just bad here, man. People are hurting and they don't know what to do. Like and it's like, okay, do I leave? Do I bounce? Or do I rally and start a movement seated in love where it's powered by hugs and kisses and rainbow wishes? That's what I'm.
Ooh,
that's
nice.
That's what I like to see happening, and then we can lift all our women up. Thank you again, Carrie. I appreciate your beautiful presence.
Of course.
And I also just
wanted to note that while we were doing that, someone that I was thinking of texted me about 25 minutes ago. I haven't heard from them in months.
Oh, God. See, that's Gabriel fucking opening up portals.
And I don't want to open it.
I told you I was going to leave time and go move some things around. That's that's because they will come back. Not only the person and the energy will come back for completion. And because you're probably, what you don't realize is you're holding on to some aspect of them too. It's always you deep silent times. So it'd be like, okay, you're gonna come at me, you're gonna hurt me, I'll hold you down in a mermaid realm, and you'll come
well,
back,
that's why I straightened out, because you were telling me all this stuff, and all of a sudden I saw his name pop up on my phone. I'm like, you got to be kidding me right now.
I saw something in the back of your. I saw something in the back of your spine kind of lift. Whatever this is right here needs some time to heal. So whatever you can do to take a bath and put a rose petal right there, or to put a piece of peridot on your heart, either allow yourself to be and to let whatever is there go back to where it needs to be. And that's the beauty of holding deeper consciousness, because it can allow a medium to clear. And here's how it's quantumly gets even more weirder, is we cleared that pattern, parts of it on this call, and now that puts out a morphic resonance field. And anybody that listens to this that has a similar type of issue, and everyone has something like that, they won't know exactly what cleared, but it opened up. And I can even feel some stuff came back into Sean's heart center too, because you're holding the deeper part of the thing. And he was sitting here, and we were moving through it in a territory that most people don't talk about, and it allowed the balance to happen. And you know how Libras roll, right? We're always looking for that preemptive balance. There it is. There's that charm. That's not fair. Did you see how she smiled? It's like, and me oh, I'm hypnotized. We should go to the mall and I'll buy you something pretty. Just tell me Just tell me what it is that you want, right? You know?
Oh, God.
But yeah, that's a good start, because there's still essence that goes into your femur bone, into your thighs. There's some stuff in the back of your neck. There's some things here back and behind in the back of your shoulder blade as well. And as you're continuing to integrate and bring that energy back into the here and now, in this moment, in this timeline, in this realm, in this dimension, then that can allow you to kind of come to. But the thing we have to be careful of is Cass has a Ferrari chassis, and she can only hold that higher territory for so long, and then she'll start to distort and bend, and weird things will happen. So we have to take care of her, because she's like a hummingbird, and hummingbirds can only fly so long, and then they need sugar, they need hug, they need to be loved, they need to be told that they're special, they need to be looked out for, they need to be given like a beautiful place to sleep in that's like obsidian and all that. Cass, you're so loved. I see you back there holding all that. I know what it's like dipping down into that. I have friends in the world that do something very similar to that, and I always tell them, I'm like, you're so cherished. The high frequency tells the lower ones what to do, and I just have such a deep appreciation for what you hold. And the one thing that I've learned is that people like me and you, Carrie, that are rolling in the deep, that can hold serious amounts of energy without the being counterbalanced with the beautiful hummingbird, with all that light coming into pattern and tell that low how to be, i.e. magic creation. Like we created in that moment, and it creates a timelessness. So thank you for all that you hold, Cass. It's just really, really beautiful. Yeah. And you hold it too, I know, Sean. But I'm like, we got to reach out. We got to find these people. And we got to rally them together, you know, and then listen to what they have to say, right? Because when she does talk, is it not profound, Sean? Every single time. And it's always the quiet ones like, yeah, if we move the void into the nothing, then tomorrow's today will collapse into the inversion, and then all the hatred will go away forever. I love you. I'd be like, hold on, wait, what did she just say right there in that moment? So thank you for looking out for her, Carrie. I feel like you ground her and you protect her.
Oh my God, they're Carrie's so good to Cass. It's awesome.
I can tell, and that's what she needs right now, is because she's going through so much. Whether or not she knows how to explain it or quantify it with words, so the more love and the more caring that she feels like in her around here, that's calm and nurturing and not from a place of wantonness, desire, or judgment, the more she'll be able to rally. And you'll see her get out in the world, and she'll zip around in these patterns so quick you won't. I'm telling you, wait and see. People will be like, I'm not real sure what happened right there, but I don't think I'm going to start going into those little weird boxes where that dude is hanging up there and is all injured, and I think I'm going to stop eating animals, and I'm going to stop putting naked pictures, and I'm going to stop looking at porn, and I think I'm going to learn to love again. And they'll be like, hold on, what did you just say? I'll be like, I think I need to learn to love again. You know, that's what we're talking about here with consciousness. Because look how much more unified you guys are in heart space. How long has it been? It feels like it's been 2 weeks to me, and it's been like what, 2 hours? We've been on the phone for 2 hours, and like we were down in the down, and you guys are starting to come back up again. But then that's permanent right there. You're gonna actually have to do something to be disconnected now. But
I know.
So I'm a boot the love. There's my Canadian coming out. Did you see it?
Oh, dude.
That's what it's about, man. Thanks, Carrie. Because Cass was like, I don't know if Carrie's all into all this type of stuff or whatever, you know? And I was like, well, okay, all right. That's cool. I totally get that. But I welcome the challenge with open arms.
They both say that.
Yeah.
They're like, is this real? Like, is this real? And I'm like, how long have I been in your apartment?
Yeah, that's true.
But
it's real.
It is real.
Yeah, it just keeps happening, doesn't it? Every time we get together. It's a soul family thing. Mm-hmm. That's what it feels like to me when I first met you guys. Mm-hmm. I was barely hanging on that night at Cosmo. You guys don't know that about me. Daniel, I was walking and I was freaking out because I'm very high on what you could call the spectrum. I'm very sensitive to energies and everything else, and even callers. I get overwhelmed with all the caller that's in that place, right? All the artwork and everything. I had to step outside, and I was freaking out, and Daniel could see it in me. He was like, it's okay, breathe, man. Calm down, right? And so I feel really honored to have run into you guys. It was like coming together in that moment was really sacred for me, and I'm attempting to bridge through all of, like, I know there's a depth and intensity that comes through me, and sometimes I don't know how it's going to land or how it's going to trigger somebody. And so for me to be able to step out and say again, like, thank you so much for showing up in the way that you did, and the way you were just like, hey, what's up? We're cool. Like, and you're like, come outside and burn this purple, bro. Like, I don't know what's going on with you, but purple. And I was like,
exactly.
I was like, oh, all right, man. And it had been a minute, and I was like, I'm gonna hit this, and they don't know this, but I'm gonna go down into that fairy realm, and they're gonna jump into my brain, and then I'm gonna have to get my poetry book out and write for 3 straight weeks, and that's what it's always like for me. So. Yeah, man.
That was a great night. I remember at the end of the night, we were up saying bye by the car, and I had a Molly pill, and I was like, "Here, man, here's just have some Molly," and you took it, and I was like, "What were you on tonight?" And you were like, "Nothing."
You know what I did?
Damn.
I kept that pill that you gave me, and I charged it up and put magic in it for 3 months, and I gave it to someone I love very much for their birthday.
I know who, but I'm not going to say.
They had a transcendent experience with it, because in that moment, I still had work to do, because if I would have taken it, I would have fallen down in the mo friggin' forevermore. And it could take me weeks to come back down out of that deeper place, right? So when you get enough consciousness healed back into your body, we're interdimensional beings as humans, and so most people don't access all of those other dimensions. And so when you start to open yourself up and get that consciousness back, you have access to all of that. And it's so much that we're missing out of as you continue to like pull yourself in and get out of that male collective, because they want you compressed in that consumptive male destructive death energy society. Eat a dead animal, take in a dead animal, right? Eat lettuce that is not freshly picked. So it's up to us to frame the world, to bring life back to our women, to allow our men, like, you know how rare it is for us as 2 men to talk about that we had something happen and we should have said no and we didn't. Yeah. And then we felt demasculated, and then people like made fun of us. It happened to me too. Every time I tell that story, someone would be like, man, you for real? And I'm like, yeah, man, it was bad. Like, something was taken from me and it wasn't so good, right? So thank you for having the courage to bring that up, because feel what it was able to do for our women right here, man.
Yeah,
like they're like, wow, that was true in a way that dudes don't talk like that. But for as far as I'm concerned, that's what it really means to be male, is to be vulnerable, and then we can protect ourselves, and we can protect. Not that women need protection, but there's an ambient layer of fire male energy that women need to move their creation energy into, where they are reflectors, they're the mirrors, and whatever we put into them, that's how that etheric flower grows. So the more we're able to put truth and calm and nurturing into those reflectors, like the ocean, like what I was telling you about earlier, the more that mirror, they'll be able to grow a thicker, finer stalk, and it will reach all the way up into heaven. And then the Valkyries will ride back down. It'll be like dun da da da, you know? It's like that. It really truly is. And so I'm always honored to have that moment, to bring all of that love and that truth flush, you know? So if there's any men out there in the world and you need to talk to us, man, I guarantee you Sean or myself or Daniel or the other people I know. And if you're in the LGBT community also, and you're hurting, and you're in a family and they don't understand who you are, I wanted to speak to you for a moment. I have been working with a few men in this world, and we have been working through LGBT patterns for 10 years now. And I have a special understanding and a respect for what you're going through right now in the Chick-fil-A garbage Sunday, something's inherently wrong with you reality we're currently in. And in this inversion, they're wrong. Nothing is wrong with you. You are loved. What you feel, what you desire is perfectly normal. And the way that forms is sacred, and it needs to be seen as sacred. And you reach out to me, and I will find a way to get these people that I know that are in quarantine to talk to you, because they look forward to teaching you how to not be a twink or a fag or a queer, but to be in your heart first, and that you don't have to, that there's an intimacy in the heart first before the sexual aspect starts. And I see so many men in the community that get just, it's really intense what happens, and all these games get played. And for all the people out there in organized religion, if you think that you're right because you're judging someone because of their sexuality, I got news for you. The founders, the original coders of this world, of this realm, have had enough. You are inappropriate in your judgment of the LGBT community, and it's a matter of time until a massive correction is on its way. And along with that comes the prophetic part of me, and I don't know if you can hear it in my voice or not, but I am done, and they are done. The day of judgment of someone for who they are and what their desires are is coming to an end, and you don't have to take my word for it. But I feel like I really needed to say that because I felt that bridging that gap, because I know that sometimes my energy can come off as very male, and I bet you would have never in 100 years guessed that I have worked in the LGBT community like that for a long time. But that story I told you about William in the Catholic Church and him not feeling pretty because that priest didn't want to interface with him, that's the direct polar opposite of everyone that's like, oh my God, he's a pedophile and it's terrible, and how could the priest do that, and they need to be scourged from the planet and they're sinners. That's one of those pillars that really need to go away. And the more we can forgive them and not put them in the conversion centers. That's why I don't eat at Chick-fil-A. They give money to the Salvation Army, to the YMCA, and they fund those conversion centers where they send these kids, and they're like, well, if we could just pray the Jesus into your soul, then you won't want to go down on a girl anymore, and you won't want to practice sodomy. Something's inherently wrong with you. So loosen your soul out of your meat suit to get sucked into the upside down, so the Archon Star-Lord dicks can chew on your suffering. Well, guess what? Game over. Stop funding these organizations, right? If anything, the Born This Way Foundation, what Lady Gaga is trying to do is like a step in that direction, right? Like, they're born this way. I know people that since the age of 5 knew they were only into boys, and it only ever has been boys. And the one time they tried with a girl, had their heart broken, and it was a decision that, hey, I'm just going to stick it out with men, right? So if you're out there and you're suffering with that, know that I have a special, if we can rally and get the LGBT community to be like, you know what, in this whatever, Jesus has never loved me, so there's something inherently wrong with me. Real Christ consciousness, those of us that are embodying the Yeshua, we would never judge you. We would never tell you something is wrong with you. And the fire that you just felt come through me is getting ready to roll through this world indefinitely. And I can't sit here and live another day in this world, in my reality, with my father that never calls me and works full-time at a Christian orphanage, indoctrinating these young orphans into that father form that I was broken into. And then yet I don't get a phone call ever. You know, the calls that I get are, I'm worried about you going to hell because of whatever New Age conscious thing that you do. And I want to make sure that you're up in heaven with me. Did you feel what just happened with all of us? Look how much closer we are. Yeah. Look at the conversation we're having. Look at the beautiful truth that Carrie is now holding in her body as a divine female. Go find that in your synagogue or in your local church. You can find me in front of a local church soon with a group of healers. Because the true wellspring of eternal life flows freely for every single one of us, and it always will. And it has nothing to do about who you are or what you want to do in the bedroom. So I appreciate you listening to my rant. It felt epic as it came out. You better
always.
If you're in there throwing that hate around, you're gonna find me in the astral realm. And when I hit hard from many different realms. You better ask somebody. Love Fest coming to a town near you soon. Hopefully. Okay. So thank you, Cass. Thank you for the microphone, and thank you for encouraging me to do this. I often sit here in my little Cancer Ascendant crab shell. If you're out there and you cast a chart and you look at it and you see everything in my south equator, you'll see why I'm such an intense person. I just really hide it really well. Unless I see people that I love and I want to rally for, and I feel 3 of you out there struggling with that right now. Nothing wrong with you. I don't think so. You're perfect just the way you are. You're perfect just the way you are. Don't put the hate in our women or in our gay men.
Yeah, no kidding. Gabriel, thank you. We have to
I figured as well.
Move. We have to integrate everything you just gave us. And
that was intense.
Yeah, that was intense. So
the best.
Thank you. Dude. Infinite gratitude.
Peace and love, man. We'll see you on the other side.
Salt baths. I got the Swiss chocolate is out in the mail today.
You're crazy.
I'm sending out your care package here post haste, man. So I'm just putting a bunch of love in it first, because that's how it should be, you know. So
you're the best.
Hey, see, I just looked at Carrie smiling again. That's not fair. Look at all that charm. It just comes off, you know. So
she's so charming.
It's great. We should get together soon. It's safe here in West Virginia.
Yeah, we'll do this again soon. So we'll be in touch and we'll talk soon. And we love you so much.
I will try to send you this link, whatever this recording part is.
Yeah, I'll walk you through it. Yeah.
So we'll see what I can do. Thank you guys. Go process. I'm gonna go dance in the galactic cosmos.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.